Parker Schnabel's rise from sleeping on a friend's couch to owning a $15 million gold mine is the kind of story most people would find unbelievable. His life looks exciting on Gold Rush, but what the cameras don't always show is the hard work, the pressure, and the personal sacrifices behind his success. By the time he was 24, Parker had already earned more than $13 million worth of gold. Today he pays his workers salaries that some doctors don't even make, and he owns vehicles worth more than many homes. But behind the scenes, there are things most viewers never see: his wild nights in Las Vegas, the expensive machines he relies on, and even the real reason his girlfriend walked away. To understand this unusual journey, you have to go back to where it all began. Parker didn't grow up like most kids. When he was only 5 years old, he was already operating real heavy machinery at his grandfather's mine in Haines, Alaska. The mine was called Big Nugget, and it wasn't a place for children to play. It was a fully operating gold mine where every task mattered. Parker's grandfather, John Schnabel, believed that the best way to learn was by doing, so instead of toy trucks, young Parker learned how to control powerful machines. While other kids were learning how to ride bicycles, Parker was in the driver's seat of loaders and dozers, watching the earth move around him. That experience shaped the person he would become. Haines is a small town with around 1,700 people, surrounded by thick wilderness and harsh weather. Winters are long, summers are short, and people who live there have to fix almost everything themselves. Growing up in a place like that meant Parker learned early how to work hard, solve problems quickly, and stay focused even when things got tough. While kids his age were playing video games or hanging out with friends, Parker was learning how to manage crews, understand the ground he worked on, and recognize the true value of gold. His childhood prepared him for a life very different from the normal path most teenagers follow. But when Parker was 16, everything changed. His grandfather's health began to decline, and the man who had taught him everything about mining grew weaker. John Schnabel was not just Parker's grandfather. He was a mentor, a friend, and a respected figure in the mining world. When John passed away at the age of 96 on March 18, 2016, Parker felt the loss deeply. Suddenly, the full responsibility of the family mine rested on his young shoulders. He had already been helping run Big Nugget Mine, but now he was truly in charge for the first time. It was a heavy burden for someone his age, but he didn't walk away. He stayed, worked harder, and kept the mine alive out of respect for the man who had guided him all his life. Not long after, Parker surprised everyone with a decision that changed his future. Instead of going to college like most teenagers, he took the entire $663,000 that had been saved for his college education and used it to buy mining equipment. It wasn't a random gamble, it was a calculated choice. He believed in mining more than anything else, and he trusted that investment would pay off. That money allowed him to expand his operations, increase production, and mine more gold than before. The risk was huge, but it worked. That choice became the foundation of his entire career. Parker first stepped in front of TV cameras at just 16 years old. He was quiet, young, and completely unknown. The producers of Gold Rush weren't convinced he would be right for the show. A teenage miner didn't sound like someone who could carry a season. But once they watched him work, their doubts disappeared. Parker wasn't just a kid, he was someone who had grown up doing real mining. His grandfather had taught him everything, and Parker spoke about the work with a level of knowledge the producers rarely saw, even from adults. During his first audition, he explained how to run a mine from start to finish with no help, no script, and no preparation. It was raw skill, and it impressed everyone. What truly convinced the producers was how naturally he handled heavy equipment. At 16, Parker operated machines with the calm confidence of someone twice his age. He understood what each machine did, when to use it, and what problems could come up. His knowledge didn't come from books, it came from being raised in the mining world. The producers took a chance on him, and it paid off. When he joined the show, his contract started at $25,000 per episode, which was shocking for someone so young. But he wasn't just a character, he was running real operations that could cost or save millions of dollars. As the show became more popular, his value increased, and before long he was earning up to $100,000 per episode. Even with all that income, Parker didn't turn into a flashy celebrity. He didn't buy huge houses or luxury cars. Instead, he spent money on his crew, on travel, and on experiences. He once said he preferred spending money on memories rather than things. That mindset set him apart from many young stars. While filming each season of Gold Rush, Parker worked harder than most people realized. The schedule required months of planning, shooting, and editing. For Parker, it meant being on site daily, working long hours, dealing with stress, and making decisions quickly as cameras rolled. While most teenagers focused on school or sports, he was leading full-scale mining operations in the Yukon wilderness. By the time he entered his early 20s, Parker accomplished something that shocked the mining world. In one season in the Klondike, he and his crew mined 1,029 ounces of gold, worth over $1.7 million at the time. The Klondike is known for harsh weather and difficult terrain, so pulling that much gold from the ground was an incredible achievement. It wasn't luck. Parker planned every detail, kept his machines running, and managed his team non-stop through a short mining season. Many miners couldn't handle the pressure. Parker made it look natural. That season proved he belonged in the mining world, and viewers began to see him as more than a young kid. He was becoming someone worth watching, someone capable of much bigger things. A few years later, Parker made one of the boldest moves of his career. At 28, he purchased Dominion Creek for $15 million. Dominion had enormous potential, some believed it still held up to $200 million in gold. But it also came with massive risk. To break even, Parker needed to mine 10,000 ounces each season for 6 straight years. If he failed, he could lose everything. The start was far from smooth. In the first 4 weeks, the crew only mined 135 ounces. The ground was frozen, machines kept breaking, and every problem possible seemed to hit them. But Parker didn't give up. He changed strategies, upgraded machines, and even spent $540,000 on water pumps that moved 76 gallons a minute to improve gold recovery. Every choice he made was a gamble, but he kept pushing forward, believing the long-term payoff would be worth the short-term pain. The pressure didn't end there. By early 2025, Dominion Creek was struggling. Gold numbers were low, and expenses were rising. Instead of backing off, Parker made another surprising move. In February, right in the middle of the mining season, he purchased 2 more claims, Gold Run and Sulphur Creek, for $2.5 million. This shocked his crew and viewers alike. These claims had been mined for more than a century but still held strong gold. Just 2 days after starting at Sulphur Creek, the crew found 141.65 ounces of gold, their best result all season. Suddenly morale improved. Some crew members thought Parker was brilliant. Others thought he was digging himself deeper into debt. But Parker stayed calm. He said he already accepted the debt and would face whatever consequences came later. His decision to buy these new claims became one of the most intense moments of season 15. It proved Parker didn't succeed by playing it safe, he succeeded by taking bold risks. Long before all of this, Parker had already done something most miners only dream of. By the age of 24, he had mined more than $13 million worth of gold. While most people his age were just starting careers, Parker was already running a successful one. His journey truly began when he left Big Nugget Mine at 18 and used his college fund, money meant for tuition, to lease land from Tony Beats in the Klondike. That decision changed his entire path. He built his own crew, ran his own site, and learned more every year about geology, equipment, and leadership. Instead of spending his earnings on luxury, he reinvested in his operation, buying better machines, expanding his land, and focusing on long-term success. That dedication kept him ahead of others. But not everything went smoothly. When Parker made his first deal with Tony Beats, he entered an agreement that ended up costing him far more than he expected. Tony, already a mining legend, understood the business better than Parker did at the time. Their contract required a 15% royalty on the first 1,500 ounces of gold, and every additional 1,500 ounces increased the royalty by 5%. By the time Parker reached 6,000 ounces, he was paying Tony 25%. Parker didn't realize how badly the deal affected him until Season 8, when he had to stop mining at exactly 6,000 ounces just to avoid losing money. In Season 9, he pointed out how painful the contract had become. On 8,000 ounces, they had to give Tony almost $2 million. "I'd go broke doing that," Parker said. When he tried renegotiating, Tony refused. Parker then found a loophole. Every time his crew reached close to 1,500 ounces, they switched wash plants, resetting the count and keeping Tony from tracking their total. It wasn't cheating, but it was clever. However, things eventually reached a breaking point. In March 2017, during Season 8, Tony discovered Parker had been moving dirt from another claim through Tony's land to avoid the higher royalty rate. Tony saw rock trucks passing through his yard and immediately shut everything down, furious. He confronted Parker in front of the cameras, accusing him of sneaking loads past him. Tony shouted, "All week you've been sneaking through the yard with rock trucks. The contract states that while you're leasing the ground from us, that's the only material you're supposed to move." Parker didn't back down, and the tension exploded into open conflict. Parker finally reached a point where he could no longer stay silent. He called Tony out directly, saying Tony was being greedy. "You'll make over $1 million this year," Parker told him. "All you have to do is sit back and collect money." When Tony said that still wasn't enough, Parker snapped and told him to go take care of himself in very direct words. That single moment turned their disagreement into one of the biggest feuds in Gold Rush history. Even with all the anger between them, their relationship continued shifting over the years. In the early seasons, Tony had almost acted like a mentor. But by 2025, he viewed Parker as a serious threat. During the Season 13 premiere, Tony leased Parker a part of his Indian River claim, but only the section he didn't care about. It was a small sign of respect mixed with strategy. Tony would never praise Parker publicly. Instead, he mocked Parker's decisions in interviews. On January 28, 2025, Tony said Parker was taking on more than he could handle by running 3 wash plants at the same time. He also said Parker was too focused on fast results and would pay the price later. And in a way, Tony wasn't wrong. At the start of 2025, only 9 weeks into the season, Parker was already $2.5 million in debt while trying to get Dominion Creek running. But privately, Tony wasn't as dismissive as he seemed on camera. People who knew him said he admitted to his son Kevin that Parker's gold recovery numbers were something to learn from, not joke about. At the end of the day, even Tony understood Parker's talent. The rivalry between Parker Schnabel and Todd Hoffman was different. It wasn't just competition, it was a complete clash of personality, pride, and 2 opposite ideas about what makes a good miner. Their tension began with a simple deal that turned into one of the most memorable storylines on Gold Rush. Parker bought a wash plant from Todd for 700 grams of gold, worth around $46,000. Todd thought he'd made a smart move by getting rid of a machine he believed was useless. But Parker repaired it, used it, and pulled impressive gold from it. What Todd dismissed as junk ended up helping Parker reach new levels of success. That moment embarrassed Todd and widened the divide between them. Todd didn't keep his opinions quiet. He accused Parker of being disrespectful, especially to older workers who had decades of experience. He said it was hard to watch skilled miners get brushed aside by someone so young. The conflict became more than business, it turned into a battle between generations. Todd represented loyalty, tradition, and experience. Parker represented change, speed, and results. Fans took sides. Some believed Todd was right and valued respect. Others admired Parker's ability to get results no matter the difficulty. Eventually the rivalry escalated beyond words. Crew members on both sides clashed, sometimes physically. Real fights broke out on set, not staged, not planned, and not for entertainment. A simple disagreement about mining yields once erupted into a full crew brawl. People shouted, accused each other of sabotage, and the situation got so bad that the production team had to intervene to keep the season from falling apart. It wasn't just dramatic. It was damaging to morale, and even viewers felt the tension building over time. By 2018, the situation had reached its limit. Todd Hoffman left the show. His mining operation had been struggling financially for years, and meanwhile Parker was breaking records season after season. The comparisons were unavoidable. Todd admitted later that the pressure and the toxic environment played a big role in his decision to leave. He also said the stress of reality TV was hurting his personal life and mental well-being. It simply stopped being worth it. Though he later returned in a different series, Hoffman Family Gold, his exit from Gold Rush ended one of reality TV's most intense rivalries. While all of that played out on screen, Parker's personal life had its own ups and downs. In 2016, he met Ashley Yule, a veterinary nurse in Australia. She had a bright, positive personality that brought light into Parker's demanding world. Parker invited her to join him in the Klondike, and she worked with him for 2 years. She wasn't just there for support, she worked in the gold room, helped the crew, and played a real role in the operation. In a 2017 interview with Maxim, Parker said Ashley didn't get enough credit for how successful that season was. But even with their strong connection, the relationship didn't last. In the final episode of Season 8, after Parker pulled in 8,400 ounces of gold, worth over $10 million, he finally admitted something painful. He said the breakup with Ashley was one of his biggest failures. He said he didn't put her first and that she deserved more than he gave. Ashley never spoke publicly about it. She simply removed all photos of Parker from her social media and returned to Australia. Her silence made Parker's regret feel even deeper. A few months later, on August 13, 2018, fans noticed a new photo on Parker's page. He was standing with Sheena Cowell, a British TV professional who worked for Knickerbocker Glory, a company involved in reality productions. The photo looked personal, and people quickly began to speculate. Was she Parker's new girlfriend? The timing made the rumor even stronger since it came only a few months after his breakup with Ashley. But neither Parker nor Sheena confirmed anything. Sheena's experience in the industry seemed to match well with Parker's unusual lifestyle, and he had already told People magazine in 2024 that explaining his job often made him sound like he came from some dystopian insane world. Still, by 2019, reports came out saying Sheena already had a boyfriend, and rumors about her and Parker faded away. Then came Tyler Mahoney. In 2020, during Season 4 of Gold Rush, Parker's Trail, Parker teamed up with her. Tyler was a fourth-generation Australian gold prospector, the same age as Parker, and raised in the mining world just like him. Their chemistry on screen was instant. Fans immediately picked up on it. Social media filled with theories, comments, and discussions. Reddit threads examined their interactions episode by episode. The show's editing even highlighted their teamwork in a way that hinted at something more. But if anything romantic happened off-camera, neither of them ever confirmed it. Unlike with Ashley, there were no public moments of affection. Just a strong partnership and professional respect. Later, Parker even bought a claim in Australia, which fueled more speculation. As of 2023 and 2024, the rumors still exist, but no one has confirmed a relationship. What is clear is that they work extremely well together, both personally and professionally. Not everything behind the scenes was peaceful. Back in 2018, during the filming of Parker's Trail in Papua New Guinea, Parker had a major clash with his cameraman, James Lavelle. At first, things seemed fine, but creative disagreements built up quickly. On July 12, things finally exploded. Lavelle wanted to film a dangerous river crossing. Parker refused, saying it was unnecessary and unsafe. Lavelle kept pushing. What followed was a shouting match that went on for more than 3 hours. Crew members could hear them arguing from over 100 meters away. Parker became so angry that he threatened to walk away from the entire project. Discovery executives had to step in to calm things down. 3 days later, Lavelle was removed from the production. By that point, only about 60% of the footage had been completed, and the sudden change cost Discovery nearly $380,000. The trouble didn't stop there. On September 3, Lavelle filed a lawsuit for breach of contract against Raw TV, the company behind the show. The case was eventually settled out of court in February 2019, but Parker and Lavelle never spoke to each other again. Months later, Parker made headlines again for a far smaller issue. On March 17, 2019, around 2:15 p.m., State Trooper Michael Ingram pulled him over on the Haines Highway in Alaska. Parker had been driving his 2018 Ford F-150 at 64 miles per hour in a 55 miles per hour zone, only 4 to 9 miles over the limit. He received a $60 ticket. It should have been a small, forgettable moment, but Parker didn't respond to the ticket. On April 12, the court issued a warning. Parker finally pled no contest on May 6. When TMZ reported the story on May 12, it spread quickly. One viral tweet joked that Parker could have paid the fine with spare gold dust from his mining pants. The fine wasn't the problem, it was the fact that people started questioning whether Parker was becoming careless. Then came 2024, one of the hardest years of his life. Season 15 of Gold Rush was supposed to be just another tough but manageable mining season. Instead, it nearly crushed him. On June 12, a major piece of equipment at Dominion Creek failed. The breakdown cost an estimated $2.3 million in lost gold recovery. Days later, a permitting issue forced a shutdown that lasted 17 days. That delay cost another $1.5 million. By August 3, Parker's cash reserves had dropped to just $78,000, barely enough fuel to keep the operation running for a week. Desperate, he pawned his 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air, a car that had belonged to his grandfather and was one of his most cherished possessions. He received $115,000 and used it to pay his crew. The situation became so serious that on August 28, Parker held an emergency meeting. He told his crew they could walk away with no consequences if they wanted to. 3 key workers, Mitch Blaschke, Brennan, and Tyson, chose to stay. They worked without pay for 2 weeks to support Parker and help turn the season around. Finally, on September 7, the breakthrough came. They hit an incredibly rich pay streak and pulled in 1,872 ounces of gold in a single week, worth about $3.5 million. That moment saved the entire mining season. Most of it was filmed, but only small parts were shown on TV because the full story was considered too stressful to broadcast. Even with all the stress, losses, and danger, Parker continues to live more simply than most people expect. His mining operation is massive. Just in season 14, his crew pulled in around $24 million worth of gold. He earns about $100,000 per episode of Gold Rush, which adds up to nearly $2 million each season. But he rarely spends money on flashy things. In interviews, he has said he doesn't own a big house and at one point even stayed on a friend's couch in Los Angeles. Some reports say he owns properties in Haines, Alaska, and in the Yukon, including a 2,000-square-foot home with 3 bedrooms. Others say he bought his dream home for around $950,000. He is also believed to own large areas of land in the Klondike. The places where Parker does spend money are mostly related to work and travel. He owns several vehicles, including a custom Ford Raptor, a rugged Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon, a Jeep Wrangler for off-road trails, a modified Chevrolet Silverado, and multiple ATVs scattered across his claims. Even with all of that, Parker still says he isn't interested in buying expensive toys just to show off. "I don't really spend much on physical possessions," he explained. Instead, he loves experiences. He takes his crew on hunting trips, visits Las Vegas for 3-day breaks, and once took his father to a World Series game. In 2023, he spent 3 weeks traveling around London. Most of the money he earns ends up back in his mining business to keep growing his operation year after year.